All right, let's dive into one of the most beautiful and heartbreaking stories in gaming. We're going to piece together the deep, sorrowful history of a fallen insect kingdom, Hallownest. Get ready, because we're uncovering the haunting story of this incredible, melancholic epic. And wow, this line, it just perfectly captures the whole feel of our journey, doesn't it? We're not just, wandering through some old ruins. We're basically archaeologists of a grand tragedy. This is a story told in whispers and ghosts, all about a kingdom that reached for greatness and paid the absolute highest price. Okay, so to really get why everything fell apart, we've got to go way back. I mean, back to before Hallownest was even a thing. See, the land was ruled by these ancient, powerful forces. And two of them, well, they were on a collision course that was going to change everything for bugkind forever. So this is the core conflict. Right here, it's the heart of the whole story. On one side, you've got the Radiance. Think of her as this primal god of light and dreams, controlling everyone in a single hive mind. But then, in comes the Pale King, this other higher being, and he offers something totally revolutionary: free will, individual thought. So you see, this wasn't just a war for land. No, this was a battle for the very soul of a species. And really, who could say no to that? The gift of a mind of your own? The bugs were totally drawn to the Pale King's promise. They turned their backs on their old god and built this glorious, shining kingdom, Hallownest, all thanks to their new awareness. But, and this is a big but, in all their excitement, they forgot the god who came before. And let me tell you, she was not gonna let that slide. You know how they say every action has a consequence? Well, this is a big one. The Radiance, totally forgotten and just festering in the memories of the few who remembered, she was about to unleash some serious revenge. And her rage took the form of what we know as the infection. Now, this wasn't like a cold or a flu, oh no. This was a psychic plague. It literally crept into the dreams of everyone in Hallownest. It ripped away their new minds, twisted them into these mindless, aggressive husks with those glowing orange eyes, all of them just slaves to her will. And here's the absolute tragic irony of it all. That very gift of sentience the Pale King gave them, that's what became the doorway for their enslavement. Those free minds were now shackled, chained to the violent whims of a jealous god. And just like that, Hallownest, it started to rot from the inside out. So the Pale King is watching his kingdom get completely destroyed. He's desperate, and he comes up with this plan. It's almost inhuman, honestly. It's a solution born from pure, cold logic, but man, it required a sacrifice that was just horrific. See, the thing is, the Radiance couldn't actually be killed. She could only be contained. So the king's plan was super methodical. Step 1, use the void, this primordial goo, to create tons of empty children. Vessels, he called them. Then he'd pick the absolute purest, most empty one to act as a living cage, sealing the infection inside it forever. Just think about the job description for this perfect vessel. It had to be completely hollow, like a being so empty that the Radiance would have absolutely nothing to grab onto. No thoughts, no will, no voice to even scream. Just a soulless, emotionless container for a god's rage. It's such a chilling idea, right? Creating a life just for it to suffer in silence, forever. And this is where it all went wrong, the grand mistake. For all his cold logic, the Pale King messed up. He picked one vessel, the one we now call the Hollow Knight, and he raised it. He actually formed a bond with it, an attachment, maybe even a father's love. And that tiny spark of connection, that was the flaw. It tarnished the vessel's purity. It gave it a will. It gave it a mind. And this timeline just shows you the dominoes falling one by one. The flawed Hollow Knight gets sealed away in the black egg, but the seal wasn't perfect. The Radiance found that crack, that tiny bit of love and memory, and the infection started to leak out. Slowly at first, but then it was a flood. Hallownest collapsed into ruin, and the Pale King, in the kingdom's final moments, he and his entire palace just vanished. So let's recap. The kingdom is dead. The king is gone. The infection is everywhere. The story seems over, right? Well, this is where things get interesting. Because now the focus shifts to a small, silent traveler who shows up back in this broken land, and that traveler is you. So, yeah, where do you fit into all this tragic history? Who is this little knight anyway? What could your purpose possibly be in a story that feels like it's already over? Well, as it turns out, you're a ghost from the king's past, come back to haunt him. That's right. You're one of the other vessels, one of the so-called failures that were tossed into the abyss and just left to die. You are a sibling to the Hollow Knight. We don't really know why you've returned, but your purpose starts to become crystal clear. You're here to confront your father's failure, and you're the one who gets to decide what happens next to this dead kingdom. But hey, you're not totally alone on this journey. You've got Hornet watching over you. She's this fierce, needle-wielding protector of Hallownest's ruins. And surprise, she's also your half-sister, born from a whole other political pact the king made. She's constantly testing you, pushing you, trying to figure out if you actually have what it takes to finish this. And this whole journey, all the fighting, all the exploring, it all builds up to one final choice. How do you fix a king's mistake? How do you finally end the nightmare that has completely consumed Hallownest? Basically, you've got three main paths you can take. First, you could just repeat the cycle, defeat the Hollow Knight and take its place as the new vessel, hoping you're pure enough this time. Or you can get Hornet to help seal the deal, which strengthens the prison but traps you both inside. But then there's a third option. You can choose to break the cycle completely. And this truest path, it means you have to embrace exactly what you are. You have to unify the void inside you, reclaiming the power of all your thousands of discarded siblings. With that power, you're not just containing the infection anymore. No way. You're going straight to the source. You're going to fight the Radiance herself, right in her own backyard, the dream realm. When you step back, you realize this whole story is just this incredible meditation on some really deep themes, like free will versus a hive mind, the insane cost of sacrifice, the arrogance of kings and gods who thought they could control everything and failed. And in the end, it's really a story about the smallest, most forgotten hero rising from the ashes to clean up a mess that was never theirs to begin with. And that leaves us with this final, impossible question. What's better? Do you just put a patch on the problem, knowing it'll just continue the cycle of suffering? Or do you risk total annihilation to try and destroy the problem at its source, forever? The lore of Hallownest doesn't give us any easy answers. All it leaves us with is the quiet, heavy weight of a fallen kingdom.